Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Takeaway Club, where I talk to interesting people across different walks of life to get to know their stories and, more importantly, how they got to where they are, including their motivations, habits, routines, and aspirations, some of which we can apply to our own lives. We have seen a great response so far. It's a small, non intrusive email every Monday with a bulletin of whatever content I am currently into. It could be the books I'm reading, the podcasts I'm learning from, tweet threads that I enjoyed, or just a small boost to kickstart your week, and hence the name Beat the Blues. So, if you're someone who enjoys insightful random content but don't have the time to sit through and do the dirty work of browsing to find them, you're going to love this. It's super easy. Just head over to thetakeaway.club and hit the subscribe button, and you'll get the very next one. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Takeaway Club. In today's episode, I have Aishwarya Ashok, who takes care of product marketing at Zoho Corporation. Apart from work, she is the co-lead and marketing head for Team Lonepack, which is a non-profit that aims to shatter the stigma around mental issues and help spread the awareness. As part of the organization, she spearheads a lot of amazing initiatives, including the Lonepack Conversations, where Aishwarya and team talk with top professionals in the field of mental health. Some of their past episodes feature the likes of Lydia Denworth and Ram Krishna. I've listened to most of their episodes and they're simply amazing. What I like most about them is the Indian context they bring into the conversations. Taking into account our ethos, our relative inexperience in dealing with mental issues, etc. So, if you're someone who needs help or someone who simply likes to learn more about mental health and do your part in spreading the awareness, I'd highly recommend you checking out their podcast as well as the Lone Pack website. She is also on the founding team of the broadcast, which has become one of my other favorite podcasts in recent times that focuses on product management and tech. Apart from this, she is also a co-lead for Women in Product that aims to empower women in the product and tech space. She is also a member of the Harvard Business Review Advisory Council, which is an opt-in research community for business professionals who can provide insights to shape HBR's content, including surveys, taking part in online discussions, testing out new products, etc. Without further ado, let's jump right into the conversation. Hi, Aishwarya. How are you doing?
Hi, Krishna. I'm doing good and hope everybody who's listening to this podcast as well is doing good and safe. And thank you so much for having me here. It's my pleasure to be here with you, talking to you.
Likewise, Aishwarya. Actually, we have been trying to get this conversation up for some time now. So it's so great to have you on the show finally. Now, we haven't known each other for long, but we have a lot of mutual friends. And anytime I strike up a discussion with them, especially something related to product marketing, your name eventually comes up in the conversation. And I personally admired your work or the blogs that you write for quite some time now. Now, being at a place like Zoho, where you're literally one amongst, some 7,000, 8,000 people, it is easy to simply go along with the flow and settle for the status quo. Right? But you have managed to build this amazing reputation within the community. So I want to start off with what is it that drives you about product marketing?
Great. I think first off, that's a wonderful question to start with. And that's something, in fact, a question that I ask myself every time that I'm about to start working on something, specifically with respect to products. And I think it's come just at the right time because I was just thinking yesterday that, this Monday, which is day after tomorrow, I would be like completing 4 years of kickstarting my career journey. And product marketing was simply the best place that I could really, delve into and kickstart my career. And this last 4 years has been amazing learning curve for me, specifically when I look back the kind of person that I was with a belief that I am a tech geek to currently where I am, where there's a long way to go. Still, but at least for the fact that now I have a good stance when it comes to product building, marketing, or design, I would have to credit to the amazing trajectory that I had as a part of my company. So the getting back to that point that you asked me, like what drives me, I think I have two particular words that I always connect myself to, and that should be the value and the purpose. So I think I always question myself whenever I take up something with respect to, say, my career at a company that I work for, or just even outside the company. I always ask two things, like what is something that I can add as value, and how is it that I'm achieving that as a purpose in the particular career path that I've chosen. So personally, that is worked out for me in always thinking where I want to go and what kind of a path I want to follow, rather than thinking like, hey, I think that is very good because I find like a couple of people doing it. That's never worked out for me usually. So I always think about the impact that I can make as taking up something, and the kind of learning that I can get back through it. So it's the value that you contribute, at the same time the purpose that you solve, and the value that you get back through the learning that you put in. So simply put, I think this is what has been driving me personally, and it's quite worked out for me overall, and I look forward to in the same way for the next all the years that I would be in my career journey.
It's amazing, Aishwarya. Now, as I was giving the introduction, the one question that kept running in my mind was, how do you manage to get so much done in a given week? Be it recording episodes for broadcast or Team Lonepack, and going about your work at Zoho. So, what does your schedule typically look like? Or do you have a specific routine or a set of productivity hacks that help you get the most out of the day?
Yes. So I think people would be surprised when I say I am this person who generally does not like to stick to a routine. Like for me, like a lot of my close friends know that if there is a routine, then Aishwarya would not like it, because I the word routine is so off-putting for me, and that does not mean that I do not repeat tasks. I mean, there are certain tasks that you do as habits, and that is different. But other than that, I think I like to keep my schedule very dynamic. So usually I wouldn't say like I have a routine with so many things to do and I keep repeating it every day. But yes, as you mentioned, the productivity hacks, well, maybe these three productivity tips that I find useful for myself, which I also mentioned in one of my recent LinkedIn posts, they are the first one being a triage. So I always make sure that I weigh the current tasks that I have in hand, be it anything with respect to work or with respect to doing or recording a podcast as a part of the podcast, or doing a loan pack task, anything. So whatever I have at hand, I always do a triage. So it's like this innate quality of my brain to always keep weighing to see what is most important to me at this moment. So maybe yeah, you can consider it more like a Eisenhower matrix, but that's too comprehensive. Mine is more like I tend to see what is more relevant to me at a particular moment, and how much time or bandwidth I can allocate for it. And initially it was difficult, but as I kept doing this, it helped me realize that there is a specific time that I can allocate for a lot of things that I think would be more relevant for me at different points in time. So something that I do now may not be something that I repeat 3 days later, but I equally give time and weightage to a lot of things that I want to do. So it's a very dynamic feeling, and so far I've been liking it. So that's one thing that I do. The second tip or the second activity that I take for myself is writing things down. So by writing, I do not mean like writing blogs or making content live. I mean writing for myself. Like I generally have a habit of jotting things down, be it on the mobile app, the notes app on the mobile, or having like a hand journal. I think I'm a sucker for journals, and I have so many at home unused as well, because sometimes I just do not like to go and use something that I've stacked up for just like a piling collection. So the writing is like more like an innate activity for me. So I like writing things down, and that brings in more clarity for me. So I would call it like, micro journaling being a cradle habit for me. I really like penning down, and that brings in a lot of knowledge to you, for the fact that you know what you're current into and what can actually wait later on, that you can spend more time, not now but sometime later. And yeah, the third thing, and the most recent activity that I've been trying to do, which has also seen an improvement in not just productivity but the way that I think. And this is something that even my mentor used to tell me, like, acknowledge your off periods. Like, you think you can do everything, but you need to compromise at certain times, that you can't do it all. And that comes in only when you start recognizing the fact that there are certain off periods, and you need to let go of that, and soak into those periods, and realize that it's okay to not be doing certain things at certain times, and that those kind of low periods will actually give your mind enough rest that you need to spring back to do the activities that you have in your list. So I think, put in a nutshell, these three things have really helped me accommodate a couple of things that you suggested that I do. And yeah, so far it's been good to follow this. And again, I say this is not like a routine. So I am somebody who does not like to go by routine. I like to keep myself dynamic. So which means, like, if I think like I want to like paint something today, I just go ahead and do it. So I try to fulfill my little activity list that I have for each day. So I don't tend to repeat patterns, but I like curating different work patterns for myself. I hope that answered the question. So yes, I do ad hoc activities and on the fly activities usually.
So this is very interesting, because this is a pattern that the more and more people I see, this is something that they are adopting. I think even I fall in the same bracket in a way. Is it a case of having these short bursts of highly energetic workflows where you sit for a day or a two, uh, and you just run through whatever you have to do, rather than space out the same thing over a week? I think I listened to this in one of Joe Rogan's episode with Naval Ravikant. Be a lion and not a
Mm-hmm.
cow. How cow goes about in a monotonous fashion, taking in little food each and every day. Of course, that's how different animals work.
Yeah.
But rather than being a cow, be a lion, which spends most of its time in a leisurely manner, and then it goes out on a hunt, uh, wreaks havoc, say once or twice a week.
Uh, yes, to an extent, that I would say, you start realizing the kind of person that you are. Like, for example, from as a kid, I know I am this person who gets interested, who's continuously curious about a lot of things. So that way, I know what my temperament is like, and what will suit my kind of working styles, be it when it comes to doing work, or be it when it comes to taking up hobbies or anything. So understanding what kind of a person that you are, I think that really brings in the clarity. And to me, that actually brought in a better space to invest in. So I realized I am this person who likes to do a lot of things, but at the same time, not at the fact that I want to do everything on the same day. But yeah, like, I realized what most suits me. I mean, getting back to my first point on doing a triage, like, what is it that is required of me right now. So is it a yes or is it a no? I believe the secret lies in knowing what kind of a person you are, and understanding what and what do you want to invest your time and your energy in, and that will keep you going forward in the times to come.
Awesome. Let's talk about Team Lonepack and the kind of impact that you have made in the last year and a half. Mental health is a highly delicate subject, and I personally believe that it's one that certainly doesn't get talked enough. What are some of the measures or activities that you have organized as part of Team Lonepack to create this awareness among people and break the stigma around mental health issues?
Great. Thank you so much for bringing in Loan Pack into the picture. And I hope some of the listeners might already know about Loan Pack. And nevertheless, I think I'll give a whole perspective of what Loan Pack does. And as you mentioned, what kind of activities we do being in the mental health space. So, Lonepack is a non-profit. It's again a community, like I was explaining in the conversation with you. It's a community that is formed by a group of individuals, and we work towards shattering the stigma around mental health and promoting mental wellness, and making more people aware of the fact that mental health is no longer a taboo, and it's no longer something that we should be avoiding. Rather, we should be upfront about some of the mental health aspects that we undergo as a part of our daily lives. So that's predominantly the whole collective motive of Lonepack. And if you take a look at some of our social media pages, we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So on the looks of it, it's like we are spreading positivity, which is the baseline of Lonepack. We are there to spread positivity and joy and happiness. But at the same time, the major motive, as I was telling you, it lies in the fact that one should break or shatter the stigma that lies around mental health. So keeping that in mind, we have a few specific campaigns that we run on different aspects of mental health, covering different areas. And let me probably explain them one by one. So one aspect is the Lonepack Conversations, which you mentioned in the introduction rightly. So Lonepack Conversations was started with a sole intent of getting in touch with experts or people who are there working in the mental health space directly, and making them connect with a lot of us who are in the lookout for listening to what is actually happening in each those aspects of mental health. So we talk to different kinds of people who are involved with mental health spaces, which includes people like journalists or clinicians, psychologists, people who have an NGO themselves working in the the mental health space. So I think we connect with different aspects of mental health through Lonepack Conversations, and it's been a great journey so far for me and my team to have gotten in touch with those specific experts in each of these spaces and getting them to talk to people, because that way we also uncover a lot of things which we might leave it in the go and not really know of in depth. So that's one campaign of it. And the flagship campaign that we do year on year is called Lonepack Letters. So Lonepack Letters is an attempt for us as a team to help spread positivity. So what we do is we collect anonymous letters from all of us, like people who are from different corporates, school students, people who are as a part of colleges. So we just collect anonymous positive letters. You can just write whatever you feel would make or bring a smile to someone's face, and we collect such letters from people around us, in the very surrounding to us, and we partner with a delivery organization. So something like Uber Eats, or the latest collaboration with Lonepack being Dunzo. So we collaborate with a delivery organization, and we help in delivering one such letter with every order. So it means that you can sit here in Chennai and actually write a very positive sentence or a quote in the letter, and your letter can reach somebody who's sitting in Bangalore or Hyderabad, and you put a smile onto their face. And all of this is done anonymously. I think that's the beauty of it, and it lies in there. You don't have to reveal your identity, but your whole purpose or your value is to make someone's day and actually make them feel very positive at the end of the day. And I'm so glad that we are able to do this year on year, and it's been a wonderful journey for us to have been a part of such an act. And yeah, so that's one other campaign that we do. And our current focus, as for this year, and specifically the one that we are talking about to public as well, is called Lonepack Buddy. So Lonepack Buddy is a virtual safe space, and the whole reason of providing Lonepack Buddy is to help people have a peer-to-peer talk. So most of the times we have bad days, and sometimes we have a lot of thoughts that we think we cannot express easily to even our fellow friends or relatives, or anybody who's around us. But we are in the lookout for the space that will actually give us that freedom to express our deepest thoughts. And Lonepack Buddy was started with an intent, to get that satisfied, to provide a virtual safe space. So somebody who's looking to have a conversation with someone in a non-judgmental manner. So you can consider Lonepack Buddy, the buddies who form the core of Lonepack Buddy project, as people that you can talk to and people who are your virtual safe space. And this is something that we would love more of them to go and check out and actually use on a day-to-day basis. And The other thing that we do is we send out newsletters, and we make sure that we are connected with our audience when it comes to the key aspects of mental health campaigns that we are running, and those specific mental health topics that we deal with through conversations. We make sure that all of this gets conveyed to people, especially during this quarantine period. We started something called as Lonepack Nuggets, which is delivering a positivity, or delivering a dose of positivity or a positive note to everybody once in a week, directly to their inbox. And this positive message goes week on week. And we've been having a lot of people who tell us how, how simple and how beautiful the emails are. In fact, to open the inbox and read something that's so positive for the day, despite of so much happening around us, such an outbreak or such protests and a lot of calamity happening around us, I think this is one bit of a positive work that we do to make sure that people are aware of the mental health. People take importance of what they go through, the emotions that they go through, the feelings that they have, and give more weightage to those, just as they give priority and value to a lot of other things that they do apart from simply acknowledging mental health. So I think that is the whole core motive of whatever we do. And the other important campaign that we run is called Mental Health Matters, where we ask people to share their candid conversations on mental health. Like, why do they think mental health is important, or what do they most value about mental health? And it's usually a collective of stories, or it's like with a 1 minute or a 2 minute video wherein people talk to us about why mental health is so valuable for them and what is their like outright conversation or outright thought about mental health aspects. It could be maybe a personal connect where they share with us a story about what they have gone through, or it could be some of their friends have gone through and they have something to share with us. It could be anything. Personally, it's just an outright way for them to express what they think mental health matters to them in the most relevant way. And this month being the Pride Month, I think that's one of the most important aspects for us to deal with. All of our posts, all of our blogs, all of our campaigns are specifically focused to the Pride concept. And we hope that this is going to be a very important month for us in also spreading some awareness about the LGBTQ as well as the mental health aspect surrounding this whole concept. So yeah, in a nutshell, these are a couple of activities that we do.
That's amazing, Aishwarya. So, do you have a particular demographic when it comes to where you channel your efforts toward? Like, do you focus on teens in college, or young working professionals, or senior citizens, or is it more like on a horizontal level where you just try to help as many people as you can?
Yeah. So in a longer run, I think it's a collective goal to reach as many people as possible. But again, I wouldn't say demographic specifically, but yeah, we are focused on the youth aspect of mental health, so which predominantly brings in the preteens and the young working people and the millennial population, as we all belong to. But that does not restrict us in conveying why mental health is important, because I think mental health is something that people in all different age groups would have to acknowledge. So as much as we concentrate on the youth aspect of it, it does not mean that only these particular people should be able to follow it. So we don't restrict it to a particular demographic, but at the same time, yes, most of our posts can be connected with or can be felt in a much more deeper way by the millennial population. But yeah, that said, it doesn't stop there. So we deal with different aspects of mental health, as I was telling you. So be it the campaigns that we run, or be it the blogs that we put, or the kind of content that we put through, we try our best to always reach out to specific people from specific backgrounds, like psychologists or clinicians or journalists, whoever it is. We make sure that we cover different aspects of mental health so that that gets related to people from different age groups.
That makes sense. Yeah. When we talk about mental health, where do you think we as a society lag the most currently? Because it differs from country to country and culture to culture. At least that's what my understanding of it is. For instance, the problems that a typical teen faces in US is nothing compared with what we have here. So, is it when it comes to India, where do you think we lag the most? Is it a matter of not having a platform, or the fear of society judging you, or not being able to afford professional help?
Well, I think you actually put all the three together in like the question itself as a response. Because yes, as you mentioned, I wouldn't say culture, but the kind of upbringing and the kind of surrounding and the environment that you are in is basically something that shapes the mental health aspect for every human being. And when you clearly said that it could be a matter of not having a platform, and that's exactly what we as Lone Pack stand for. And in our words, I think we are not claiming that we are the professionals, we are the therapists that you should be speaking to, because we ourselves are a community. We just form a community that is bridging you with the professional aspect of mental health. It's us who's, we are trying to make you acknowledge the fact that your mental health is important and you need to be looking at it just as much as how you would do for your physical health. Come on, if you have fever or if you have running nose, I think you make every little possible attempt to try and focus on that. You say, yes, I do have fever because my temperature is so much. You say, this pain, there's a pain in my hand or there's a pain in my ankle because it hurts you. And when you have cold, you automatically start feeling the running nose part of it. You say, I have cold, and because I'm able to feel it this way. But that is not the same case when it comes to your emotional needs. I think nobody hardly goes around, saying that, yeah, I think I'm going through a lot of depression and that's because my mental health is at stake. So our simple gesture is not for you to always make outright or, go and announce to the world, but it starts with acknowledging to yourself that there is something that is problematic, but that does not mean that your worth is going any lesser. It means that you just need to acknowledge as much as you do for your physical health. You don't go around the world saying, this is going to be a crisis just because you have cold or you have fever. And that's going to be the same case with mental health as well. It does not mean that just because you're having a bad day or just because you are having, say, not a great mood today, does not mean that your worth is going any lesser. And again, as I would put, we as a platform, we are trying to achieve this and talk to people about the fact that, hey, your mental health should always be kept at a check. But that does not mean that we have figured it all. It does not mean that we are the happy-go-lucky people and we just go around preaching because we are happy always. It's because we are also similar to people like you all, where we also go through a lot of emotional trauma. We also go through a lot of ups and downs. But it's for the fact that we are trying to acknowledge it and we see that it has helped us. And that's the exact reason that we formed a platform like Lonepack to connect with people and tell them, hey, I think we are also in the same situation as you are. We are in the same boat. And I think this is something that could help you do it because we have done that and I think it's working. So that's a matter of fact of having a platform and not having, as you rightly put forward, the fear of society judging you. I think that is a major thing that currently is happening. We are scared for the fact that what if people may say this? What if I confess that I have some problem going on, that people might label me, people might judge me? I think that is another current problem that we have. And what we lack is the embracing of the fact that going through one's emotions is okay. It's actually a very, very, as a matter of fact, a very common thing that we do on an everyday basis. That is something that we lack. And slowly we're getting there. I'm actually happy to see a lot of people acknowledging mental health overall, and especially during this whole outbreak time, the COVID time that all of us were at houses. I think this mental health was an often used phrase in the last few months. So it's in a good and a bad way that I would say. Everybody talking about it. Yeah. So it's a good and a bad way for the fact that some people use it without acknowledging it, and at the same time, some people use it after knowing that they can do something to address it. So I'm happy for the kind of progress that we are making in this space, and personally, I'm happy for the fact that a platform like Lonepack and many other NGOs together we work towards this particular mission. So yeah, having said that, I know that this is where we are lacking, but also happy enough to see that we are doing something to close that lack.
That's very true. I think you brought up this beautiful point of acknowledging that I need to take care of my emotions. It's not like when you hurt your leg or sprain your ankle, you don't go about just like that. You acknowledge that it's a problem and you do what you need to fix that. But
exactly
what the problem is having to do the same when it comes to your mental emotions. I think one of the fundamental problems that we have is how mental health has been portrayed in mainstream media for years. At least, to the best of my knowledge, when you hear the word mental health, your first instinct is imagining something extreme, like lunacy or bipolar, where, there is a physical harm to people around you involved. So, silent killers like depression, anxiety, they're often overlooked or worse, labeled as signs of weaknesses. So, be the extreme cases or something that is very subtle but equally harmful, there is not exactly the right kind of reaction from people around you. So you'd rather keep to yourself than face the wrath of these people. I think it's a matter of when you don't fully understand something, your natural instinct is to either fight it or dismiss it, because it's much simpler than addressing it. So I think
Yes, I think you put it in the best way as possible. And now I would say that people are no longer silent. I think right now a lot of us are definitely the ones working in this space. We are trying our best to change that. As you said, it's been portrayed in one particular way, and a lot of them are believing in it. And that said, a lot of them always think about extremities. But yes, I wouldn't call them silent killers, but yes, we do have things like depression or anxiety or even day-to-day stress that I would say, something that all of us go through. So I don't want to label it, and I don't want to say like there's only like a particular kind of people who go through it, because right from a 6-year-old kid to actually an 80-year-old person, everybody talks about stress these days. I don't know if they're
right? Common cold,
yeah.
Don't have an ice cream if you stay out in the rain. It's gonna affect anyone. So there is no reason to build this taboo around mental health.
Exactly. So there is nothing that says like just because you go through it, it's not a causative action. You don't say that you do A and then you get B. It could be in by different ways. It's just the fact that you acknowledge, oh yes, I know this, I'm going through this particular thing, but also I know that this is not going to be the end of everything. Also I know that this is not going to stall my worth, or it's not going to change something very radically, because you are taking the step of acknowledging it and embracing it. So putting it in a simple word, I think when you're happy, live the whole thing through it. When you're sad, live the whole thing through it. Give your full potential to every emotion, and I think you would be able to embrace it. And that's the way to look through it going forward.
I'm very thankful for communities like Team Lonepack who are actually making a difference in breaking this stigma. So
thank you so much.
I want to switch gears at this point and talk about one of our mutual interests, apart from product marketing and mental health awareness, or even poetry. These are some things that we have a mutual interest towards. One more interesting thing that I came across, which was a very pleasant surprise, was we were both district level chess players.
Yeah, great to know that it's a mutual thing, like mutual interest. So good that to know that you also used to play chess.
Do you still play chess?
That's like a slap on my face, actually. I do have a history to it. Yes, but currently I no longer play chess, or at least for the fact that I no longer play it in a tournament level or at a competitive level. But yeah, I think chess has been a very important part of my journey, that I would say, because I recently realized what kind of contribution it has helped me make in the journey that I am currently in. So I still remember the day as a kid, as an 8-year-old kid, I was super duper excited to choose chess as my extracurricular activity, because back in school, there was a CT period, and when I was 8 years old, we were asked to choose what do you want to get into. I think all of my friends gave, and it was not because of peer pressure that I checked chess, because everybody gave different things. And for me, I gave tango painting and chess, thinking for the fact that I would definitely be chosen into tango painting. But also at the same time, I was just so intrigued by chess that I really wanted to try it out. So tango painting class was full and I could not get into it. And chess was something that only a few of us had taken. So I got into it easily. And that day, I think the first day I was really thinking, oh my God, I'm going to miss the tango painting class. I really wanted to get into it. And the first few days, or rather I would say first 2 to 3 days, I still had that, curiosity to know what chess was as a game. But still somewhere a part of my mind was always in the tango painting class thinking, why didn't I get into it? Because I could see a lot of my friends actually doing amazing work with the drawing. So I was like, oh my God, I want to get into that. But I think beyond 3 or 4 days, something started pulling me into the game. that I really found the groove, and I used to enjoy going to the chess classes that we used to happen once a week as a part of the CT period. And slowly, I think I started connecting myself to the game, and yeah, with my master's help, I could take it to the professional level where I started playing at different tournaments, school level tournaments, and then outside tournaments as well. So as a kid, you would always have that excitement. No, you go to different tournaments, and then you meet with kids from different schools, and you play with them, and you like winning was the whole motive. So you used to be happy when, like, I used to do that. Like, my grandfather used to take me to different tournaments when I was like 8, 9 years old, and I used to go. When I used to win, I used to feel super duper happy, and I used to come back saying, "Hey, I won this." And when I don't win in certain tournaments, it used to be like, "Oh my god, why did I do this?" So initially, winning was like a metric for you. Like, you become happy when you win, and when you lose, you start thinking, "Oh my god, what is happening?" But one other aspect that my master helped me do was, with each game, we used to have something. I think you would know this. We used to have something called as the moves book, right? The chess moves that you note down at the end of every game. Like, as the game proceeds, you note down every move that you make and your opponent makes. So little joys like noting that down and clicking the clock, after you make your move. Those things formed a part of the happy moments of the tournament. And for me, in the initial days, that I would say, this book was more like a nightmare, because sometimes I used to forget noting down the moves, and my sir used to ask me, "What happened? I think your sheet is blank here. What happened? What did you play after that?" And I used to come back and think, "Oh my god, what move did I make? I forgot to note." So as a kid, noting on that was like something like, your teacher is asking you to do homework. So you used to be like, "What is?" So I know, right? So
my brother has just started playing chess. He's some 10, 11 years old, and now I'm at my hometown given the lockdown. So we play like 5, 6 games a day. And he is just...
Hey, that's nice.
Right before this, he got into coaching. He went for a couple of classes, but he had to obviously stop given this.
Yeah, but good that you actually played. So I think all of us who are a part of this would know what a homework like work that is. But actually, that is something that paved a way.
It's easy to note down the moves. It's like, what is the point? I note down for 40 moves and you beat me.
What? Exactly. That's the same emotion that I went through. But you know what? I later realized that that actually had an innate way of helping me develop a perspective. So initially, for the first few times, it did look like a teacher giving you a homework of noting down moves. But what I happened to realize with the different games, after all, was I started developing the patterns. So the very reason of you to note down those moves is to find a pattern of how do you deal with every particular piece whenever a move gets happening on the board. So one thing of chess that all of them would say is, as a lesson, it's about the fact that always think and make your every move, because you can't undo it. But I think for me, the better lesson or the better learning that I took from chess was not that. For me, the lesson was how to observe different patterns, because now I find myself actually developing multiple patterns. I told you how on a day-to-day basis I have different patterns for my day. I don't like to keep it routine based. I like to keep it dynamic. But I started developing that pattern making quality like right from childhood. And I think chess had a very great role. And very recently, I actually was thinking through what shaped my liking for observation and my liking for taking into account the different patterns. And that is when I was thinking how I used to abhor writing down those moves and coming back and playing, because my sir does not stop with just letting me get those moves. He used to make me come back and repeat those and learn from mistakes. And it was not even the fact that I won or I lost, because as a kid, I did lose a lot of games. I did win a lot of games. But I think this pattern matching and the pattern observing capability is a beautiful thing that you can get out of playing chess. And I'm so thankful for the fact that I got to play it. I no longer play it, but I wish I could get back, because shamelessly, I can admit I forgot a lot of moves. So back then, that particular little habit of my master helped me observe patterns. And I used to say, just by looking at the board, like he used to make me observe and say like how many moves a particular checkmate would occur. And it was so easy back then, or it was so interesting back then, but now I really miss it. But one quality I took for life from chess was the pattern observing. And it's that little homework that my master used to give me.
When people look back at them playing chess, they usually bring up patience or problem solving as key virtues. I think this is the first time that I've heard someone bring out something as unconventional as pattern matching. Learning that from chess, that's very interesting.
Yeah, so thank you.
And I think I would like to take the responsibility of getting you back into chess, whenever we can.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I would love to get back, provided I brush up on my skills once again, and and then we could get going with a game.
Coming back to one of your other interests or favorite pastimes is reading books, as you have repeatedly iterated in a lot of places and in the conversations that we have had before. And one thing that I specifically wanted to ask you as a bookworm is that oftentimes I have some of my closest friends or even people listening, highly intelligent, smart people who really want to start reading books, but just can't able to pick that up as a habit. How did you get into the groove of reading books?
That's actually a very good question. But yeah, I think my answer to that, I'm not very sure on the fact because I still am not able to recollect the day that I started reading. It, as you said, getting into the groove was something that happened like right when I was a kid. So reading is something that eventually evolved. I think thanks to my family, it just ran in the genes, I think, because everybody at my home used to read. My grandfather, my grandmother, my mother, my father. And I think that is just brought upon me. As a kid, I think I remember my mom telling me that I used to accompany her to the libraries and actually go and pick books for reading. So it just instilled in me from as a child. And for me as a kid, reading was one of it was like having a companion. I always loved being next to books. I always loved picking up books and books of all kinds. I just didn't stop with reading only fiction books or something. I liked even when it was a coloring book because I liked art. So book of any kind was very attractive for me as a kid. So a lot of kids go to toys, and I think for me it was books and colors. Anything that was so vibrant and heuristic, like crayons and like colors, always attracted me. And books, by its very look, somewhat attracted me. That I ended up having like a mini library when as a kid itself, and that's actually a lifelong goal as well, to have a library of my own. I can always relate myself to the Belle character in The Beauty and the Beast. I just love owning a library of my own. So getting into the groove was much when as a kid. So, getting in love with the kind of books that I read back then as a kid to the current times when I still continue reading. The fact that I think you should, it all lies in your mindset, because you think that reading is going to help you. It's when you start accepting the fact that, okay, so by reading something from this, I think I'm going to gain this. So maybe for non-readers, I would say that start picking up, and it's a very slow process that I would say, because if it's something that you have not done as from early times, it might take a while. For me, especially, even though I've been a voracious reader, one struggle that I face now is compromising between the screen or the digital times versus book. Because on a day-to-day basis, you'll have a lot of work. You're always on your phone. You're always on your laptop. So finding that time for reading books is getting very difficult for me. And the mistake totally lies on me. I don't blame it on anything else, because I know that I have to do a prioritization there and get back to books. I still do read books, but the number of pages that I read, I find myself drastically getting that decreased manner in the last 1 or 2 weeks, which I'm working towards to increase. But for non-book readers, I would say this. I would say start spending maybe like a couple of minutes every day reading something. You don't have to buy high-end books directly. You can start by reading something out on the internet, something like a blog or a small article, and then slowly increase your capacity. Because reading is not something that you can just take one book right now and finish it in the whole sitting if you have not read at all. So take it like step by step, I would say. And yeah, funnily, I think for books, I can go on talking about it, because one fight that I constantly have at home is like not having space for books. So that's like all of his fight at home, because each of us have our own book rack.
Prefer paperbacks?
Actually, I prefer paperbacks. As I was telling you, I love owning a library of my own. So that's again like a family trait. As I was just telling you, we fight a lot at home because each of us, my grandma, my mom, all of us have different spaces for keeping our books. And the minute we cross each other's spaces is when the whole fight comes in. So I think, so I love owning paperbacks. But I'm not against ebooks, but yeah, I love owning paperbacks.
While we are on that topic, if you can get 100 free copies of any book that you can gift to people, what would you be gifting?
Hey, this is going to be a tough challenge for me. It's like only one book. Okay, wait. I'm going to twist on your question on this level. I'll split it into three versions, like, three genres, and perhaps say one book from each genre and like 100 free copies of each of them. Is it okay?
Fair enough.
No, because I think making me choose one is very difficult. Okay, so okay, let me start with maybe humor. I would like to give Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. I think I personally love the book, and I'm a Trevor Noah fangirl, and I absolutely love his stand-up shows. And that book was such a candid collection of his personal anecdotes and how being born in a racist world actually helped him survive that and become a person that he is today. And it was written.
My sister just last.
Hey, that's nice. That's nice. It's a wonderful book for anybody to get started with, and very, very apt for everybody to get to know what it took for a person of color to actually establish himself in this world. And it's something that we should all be proud of, especially considering the current moment. I think it's the one reason that I would recommend this book is because it took such a sensitive topic, but Trevor handled it in a very, very beautiful way of infusing humor and wit into it. And he's a very witty person. So being his fangirl, I think I'm all in to give 100 or 1,000 copies even to everybody, if at all I had a chance. Mm-hmm. So on humor quotient, I think I would go with that. Getting on to the next genre, I think maybe life as a genre. I would definitely recommend everybody to read When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Kalanithi. It's a beautiful book when it comes to it's very dark also. I'm not saying it's a very happy-go-lucky kind of book. It's a very dark book, but at the same time, it is very profound and makes you accept a lot of realities of life, especially considering death as a perspective. I loved how Kalanithi penned that the whole essence of the book, and very happy for Lucy Kalanithi to have helped him posthumously publish his book. But yeah, that's one definite read that I would recommend to everybody from maybe life as a genre. And the third genre, maybe business or in general, the non-fiction kind of a book. This is not like really like a non-fiction, but I would recommend Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson. So I think that's like Oxford Dictionary that everybody would own. No, I think everybody could read that book to understand what went behind Apple's formation and what was actually Jobs' whole life story. So I really like reading that book. Yeah, so if given a chance, yes, I would provide 100 copies of each, which makes it to 300 now.
Awesome. So, what are some of the other habits or new approaches that you have taken in the recent years that have completely, transformed your life in a way?
Transformed. Okay, that's actually a very good question. I would not say new habits or approaches, but definitely I think I can list a couple of things that I'm trying to be more mindful of, and those are sort of helping me take a look at my life, or rather my everyday. These days, I think I handle one day at a time, and these mindful habits have rather helped me personally when it comes to approaching each day. So maybe I can list down a few. Definitely the first thing would be writing. So by writing, again, I would like to claim it's not writing something to go live or put it out as a public thing. It's writing for yourself as well. Write down whatever thoughts that goes in your mind. For me, whatever thoughts that are currently happening in my mind, I always make it a point to pen them down so that I can always look at them for future references. So writing has definitely been for a very long time. It's not a new habit. That's why I said I'm not going with the new approaches, but rather something that's helped me be more mindful. So writing is definitely one. Then probably the prioritizing aspect, as I was telling you, in the productivity hack, something like a triage that I constantly try to work upon to see what is best suited for me at that particular moment. And
an effect of which is I have learned to say no to a lot of things. Earlier, saying a no or acknowledging something and saying that is not required for me was a very, very arduous task. But right now, I think saying no to something that I know I cannot have time to spend with, or I cannot accommodate in my schedule, is something that I have learned and being more mindful of. So learning to say no is another thing. And surprisingly, silence. For somebody like me who is sort of an ambivert, who talks a lot at the same time, who likes to have my own personal space, silence has helped me both professionally and personally. There are certain times that one might say you can't be silent for everything. You definitely have to raise voice. I'm not, disagreeing on that, and I still go and represent my opinions at different points in time wherever it's required. But silence at certain times is something that I've followed, and personally it worked out a great deal for me. So some battles are worth not fighting for, and acknowledging that each time is actually a very good habit personally. And I would probably recommend that. I'm not saying or pinpointing these are the times that you should be silent, because that differs from person to person, but learning where you being silent is helpful is very good, and I'm sort of learning and unlearning that. So yeah, I think that's like a couple of habits, or at least the mindful approaches that I have taken, especially during this whole outbreak time of the last 3 to 4 months, staying indoors and trying to find some resilience and mindfulness.
Amazing. So before we wrap up the episode, I want to pick your brains on a couple of things related to SaaS.
Great. Sure. Yeah. Up for it.
Marketing. What are some of the misconceptions that people generally have around SaaS or product marketing in particular? Especially people who are just starting out.
Okay. So for people who have spoken to me earlier about product marketing, or would have rather listened to my webinar on it, they would know that I always state the fact that when it comes to product marketing, people just note only one word, which is marketing. They think marketing, or rather product marketing, is all about just promotions or doing a couple of posts on social media, and that's it. But people hardly realize, by people, I mean the ones who are also in the product space, as well as the ones who are just getting started and entering into the SaaS industry. It's important that they realize that product marketing is all about product, because without the product, there comes no marketing. If you're on Twitter, you would have noticed a very important tweet that came out like 2 days back from a page called Marketing Examples, and they beautifully brought it out. Marketing is not something that comes later or afterward in a product journey. The product by itself is marketing. So you need the product for product marketing. And it's important that product marketers, as the marketers or representatives of the product, knows the product in and out. So a product marketer should have adept knowledge when it comes to the product. And I'm a personal believer of that fact, thanks to my mentor. And yes, so that is one misconception that a lot of people have when it comes to product marketing. They just read the latter word marketing, and they think, or rather they leave out the first word product. So I would like to emphasize on the fact that without product marketing cannot have a stance. So product is important.
Amazing. It's very, very true. Something that I noticed. So thanks for bringing that up. So one more question on that same lines on SaaS. So which startup or product that is not so popular, in the typical networking conversations, but is actually doing a very good job? Something that like a dark horse that's going to announce itself in style in the coming years. Have a specific.
Well, I think. Yeah, I think for this, maybe I don't want to get very specific a name, probably like 1 or 2 startups, like, to mention names. But I think I am this person who likes looking at what's happening in the industry and getting to know information that's actually going right now in different tech industries and different skills. So that said, Product Hunt is one space that I spend weekly time on. I always go to Product Hunt to see what's happening and what kind of products are getting released, and how many products are getting what kind of approach and a lot. So being in that product hunt space, I realized there are a lot of products right now when it comes to, I wouldn't say startups, but yeah, very, very small, subtle experiments that get launched on product hunt, and that actually covers a whole gamut of needs that is currently there in the market. And one such app that I recently got to know today, this morning when I was reading TechCrunch, was an app called Photo Room. So it's a French startup by Matthew Ruiff. And then I like the fact that Photo Room is an app that lets you add different backgrounds. So one might ask, like, what's so special? Because that's how even I was thinking when I was reading the headline. I was like, okay, so what's so special about this app? It's just going to let you add backgrounds. But when I just went in to read what is the kind of impact that it is making, it helped me realize that the Photo Room app is actually targeting a very niche segment, which is the e-commerce or small business owners who are currently looking out for going completely social and considering social platforms as a means of revenue for them. For those people who for those people who tend to post different kinds of pictures on a day-to-day basis, like of clothes, of different commodities, for them the huge hurdle is to take different photographs, the one with aesthetic backgrounds, and upload them so that it looks very great on the feed. And that's actually a great like a problem that is to be solved for a lot of influencers or small business owners on social media. So then I realized, wow, this product is actually helping do that. And I just saw quick demo videos that they had given in the article, and it was good to see how aesthetically somebody could just take a photograph of, say, a mason jar in just on a random table, and attach that photo to a very beautiful background, an aesthetic background, and post that on the feed by tagging on the prices on Instagram pages or Instagram stores. So I feel for e-commerce owners, it's a wonderful app, especially at the current time, for them to use. So yeah, I'm not pinpointing and saying one such app. I'm just saying it was an instant. This morning I noticed this particular app, and I was able to recollect it when you asked me this question. But otherwise, I think keeping yourself updated, being in the know about what's happening by following certain websites or platforms would definitely help you know about what's happening in the industry.
Amazing. So for people who are listening, I'm going to be adding a lot of things that Aishwarya has mentioned today in the show notes. Some of her favorite books or the app that she just mentioned. So if that's something that you didn't catch here, don't worry, I'm going to be adding it to the show notes there. So I want to finish off our conversation here with some of my personal favorite questions. They're just random questions. No particular.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Just random questions that I like to ask people in conversations.
Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah. In the current setup, who do you think is one of the most underrated CEOs? Yeah.
Wow, that's like that's like an incinerating question. So, okay, I think I'm gonna take this question from a very generic standpoint, not getting personal, but I would also like to state a personal thing that I read, and it was quite astonishing. For the fact that one might think, oh my God, is he really the underrated CEO? Because what I'm going to state now is a stat that I've been seeing for last 3+ years, claimed by a magazine called Fortune. And Fortune rates this particular person the most able, and a lot of us would know of him as the most underrated CEO, considering a lot of great stuff that he's up to. And do you want to go by any guesses who he is? Like, if you know, if you've been, I think I've given enough height that people could easily guess.
Because I remember coming across something on the similar lines. Satya Nadella by chance?
Yes, you're right. So yeah, Fortune has been naming Satya Nadella as the most underrated CEO for the last 3+ times. And truth be told, I think just as how I stated, I'm a fangirl of Trevor Noah when it comes to stand-up comedy and the humor aspect of it. I think I have huge respect for Satya as a CEO and as a person, because as a CEO, what he's done, just like how the CEO of my company does, is put his heart and soul into the kind of work that he does. So I've really taken respect for how Microsoft has taken shape after Satya took over, and especially the whole innovation circle and the whole reason for the brand's existence is something that Satya has beautifully, crafted. Be it getting socially responsible products, or I love Satya Nadella's concept of making people or the shareholders to trust in the products and to trust in the people who are making those products. So I've read his book where he actually goes on to explain how empathy is something that grounds and centers him. He's excited by ideas, but empathy is something that makes him, or that drives him for the kind of work that he does. So personally, yes, I would definitely say that he's the most underrated CEO, going by the stats as well. So that's why I said I don't want to take it to on a very personal level, because on a personal level, there are a lot of people that I would say are more like underrated, but on going by the stats level, yes, stats says Satya Nadella is underrated for the last 3+ times. And yes, that's true. He's definitely underrated, and for the kind of person that he is, and for having known what he's done and being a close observer of his works, I think I would agree with that.
Awesome. Yeah, so this is one of my favorite questions again. If you could dine with any person of your choice, or maybe the top CEOs or actors or anyone, who would that be? Could be someone from the present or someone from the past. Who do you like to dine with? Just have a good, nice conversation over food.
I think I've told that, okay, let me take the present. I think for the present, I would definitely love to dine in with Satya Nadella. And having said that, I really follows, or rather, I've been seeing some of his strategies and the way that he gets to handle a lot of things in his plate. I think personally, I would love to have a chat with him. So yes, that he would be the person of my choice. If you would give me one more person, I think I would go with MS Subbulakshmi as a singer, provided she was here, alive. But yeah.
It's lovely. So one more question to close with before you get to ask me one final question. So imagine there is a billboard in every town in the world, and it's going to display a message of your choice. It's going to reach out to millions of people. What would you want that billboard to say as a message? Could be a quote or a saying or anything that you just want to put that message out for people to see.
Wow, this is again a very tricky question for me. If I have to pick one quote, okay, so I really like this quote by Rumi, which says, "You're not a drop in the ocean; you're the entire ocean in a drop." So I'm a personal believer of this particular quote, because I feel each of us are complete as a human being or as a person, and as much as we think that we form a very minuscule part of this whole universe, which is true, as in the tale of Calvin and Hobbes. But then I also believe in the fact that you are complete. So this particular quote by Rumi actually proves that. It says, you're not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a drop. It says you can be a drop, but you're still sound and you're still complete. So I find so much essence and meaning in that particular quote. And that's actually something that I take up personally. Whenever I go through a lot of hard times, I actually think about this quote, and it helps me, or it rather grounds me, I would say. So you can interpret this in a lot of ways. And again, in my case, I've interpreted this very quote in a lot of ways, but it makes so much sense in all of these ways. So I really believe in this quote.
It's very interesting. So now to close the curtains, you want to ask me something. So I've been picking your brains for a long time now. So is there something that you want to ask me, that you want to get your opinion on before we wrap up the episode?
Yes, I think what you've been doing with the Takeaway Club, I've been just seeing the last couple of episodes. It was a great takeoff, I should say. So yeah, thanks first of all for having me in this show, and it was lovely talking to you, and you actually came up with a lot of good questions, and which made me think on different aspects as well. And sometimes you put me into little tough spaces by asking me such contradicting questions, but I hope I could do justice to those questions. And I was very candid with what I thought at that instant. But yeah, I would definitely like to answer some of the follow-up questions that maybe you or others would have. But my question would be, yeah, the Takeaway Club is definitely a wonderful initiative. What just went behind, or rather, could you share some of your thoughts on it? Like, how did it just start, and what was your whole thought process about, and how did you realize that you wanted to start this whole venture?
This is amazing, and thank you for asking, because you are the first person I believe to ask that. Questions around.
Oh, nice. That's nice. Thank you. But yeah, I would love to know, and I think so as the listeners, we would also like to know what is Takeaway Club all about, and like how did it come into picture. So yeah, kudos to you for starting it, and yeah, I would love to know your take on it and your side of the story on it.
Super. So I think a lot of credit here goes to my former boss. He is my mentor, and a lot of good things in my life right out of college, I completely owe it to him. He was the one who got me into reading books. He got me started with podcasting. As in, I had no idea what podcast was until last year. So he was the one who made me listen to amazing podcasts like Naval Ravikant's or Joe Rogan's. Just introduced me to that world. And he's also someone that I've had like countless conversations with, on life, on work, on what kind of a person I want to be. So this is again something that is a very integral part of me. Having these conversations with people, say, who are more experienced and who are into doing something else that's not in line with what I do. So you get all these different perspectives. So what I tend to notice was I kept having these amazing conversations with these people who are like, say, someone like you, who's a couple of years older than me. So we basically come from the same generation, but you have seen different things and your experience is different. So I realized I had a lot of these conversations, and that's when I noticed, wow, wouldn't it be great if some of my close friends could hear it? I totally, I have this habit of just any interesting conversations or the insightful conversations that I have a habit of just narrating it to some of my close friends. So what I basically felt was I kept repeating the same thing to 2 or 3 people. Because that conversation was so good, there was so much to take away basically for me. And then I realized, what if I just did this in a more organized, systematic manner and not just stick with talking to friends? What if I talk to random folks, interesting people who have had amazing journeys themselves? So that was basically my thought process into bringing those informal conversations into a public space, I believe. I think when I first had the idea, I already had this inspiring people, someone like broadcast. So, be it you, Padmini, or Srinidhi, you people had already set the tone for what you need, how you should go about doing it. I frankly say, if it weren't for something like broadcast, it would have been much difficult for me to get up and running so soon. So I actually remember right when I brought up this idea to one of my friends, the first person I messaged was Srinidhi from Broadcast. Hey, you've been doing a great job, and I'm just trying to understand how podcasting works on a technical side, on how you go about recording. And that's when, incidentally, they released one of their episodes where they discussed at length how to go about podcasting. So I'd say that was kind of the birth story of the Takeaway Club. And thank you for asking that.
Thanks for sharing your story. And once again, thanks for having me in the show. And yeah, it was very good sharing some of my personal thoughts. And yeah, to be very honest, I think this is, though I have interviewed people on full-length sessions and I've taken sessions with them, this is like good to share some of my thoughts, what I personally believe in with you and with the others who would be listening. So yeah, it's a good, a different experience for me.
Thank you. Thank you for getting on the show and sharing your vivid journey, I would say, Aishwarya. And I'm sure sometime in the future, I'm going to come back, knock on your doors, for a second round of a conversation like this.
Sure, anytime.